Dear audience, dear spectators, this slide depicts the encounter between the Muslim commander Tariq bin Ziyad and the Christian King Roderick in 92 AH. And in this encounter, the King Roderick was killed, hence Spain remained under Muslim rule for more than 750 years from 711 to 1492. As a result, Spain became a beacon of art, science and culture for Europe. Dear spectators, dear onlookers, the Battle of Godate under the commander Tariq bin Ziyad, it was the first battle of the Umayyad conquest of Hispania, fought in 711, in which the Christian king Roderick with his members was killed, and hence there started the rule of Muslims in Spain. Dear audience, dear spectators, in this slide on your screen, you would better find what is meant by Visigoths and what is meant by Germanic people. Dear audience, dear onlooker, there is a caption on your screen with the Roman Empire. Roman Empire can be divided into three prominent phases. First of all, when the kings were running the affairs of the government, then there comes Republic Rome when the elected people were running the affairs of the government, and then there comes when the transfer of power was shifted from democracy to centralized imperial authority. Dear audience, dear spectators, there is a caption on your screen, and that is what is late antiquity period. It is meant to be the transition from classic antiquity to middle ages, roughly from 3rd to 7th century in Europe and its adjacent areas. And then there comes what is meant by classical antiquity. It was the period from 800 BC to 500 BC. And then what is meant by antiquity? It is meant by ancient times. Dear audience, dear spectator, there is a caption on your screen, root cause of fall of Muslim rule in Spain, and in this slide you would better get to know how the Muslim rule fall started declining in Spain. Dear audience, dear spectators, in this slide you would better able to know that how there started the fall of Spain. The slide shows how the Muslims lost their glorious throne, enjoying and serving the whole mankind in almost every area. And the fundamental cause was the internal disputes within the Muslims, rather the aggression of Christian rulers in Spain. Dear audience, dear spectators, there is a caption on your slide, and that is crusade. What is meant by crusade? A series of religious wars fought by the Muslim and Christian armies between 1095 to 1291. Dear audience, dear onlookers, there is a slide on your screen, and that is the caption Crusader States. In this certain slide, you would get to know the basic information regarding Crusader States, and on the next slide, you would get to know detailed information regarding Crusader States. Dear audience, dear onlookers, here on your slide the caption is which were the four Crusader states. First of all the names have been mentioned over there with their ruling era as well. Dear audience, dear onlookers, here on your slide the caption is First Crusade, and in this slide so many details have been mentioned regarding the First Crusade in this slide for you people. Dear audience, dear onlooker, this slide is about the warrior who conquered the first Qibla of the Muslims. He was born in 1137 in Iraq. He got education in many disciplines, and then he started serving with a powerful governor in northern Syria named Imaduddin Zangi. Dear audience, dear spectators, here we will get to know about the military experience of Salahuddin Ayyubi in 1169. At the age of 31, he became the commander of Syrian troops in Egypt and Wazir of the Fatimid Caliphate there. He abolished Fatimid dynasty in 1171 and 3 years later he declared himself as Sultan of Egypt. Dear audience, dear spectator, this slide is about the Battle of Hattin. Salahuddin Ayyubi, after reuniting Syria and Egypt, he set out to launch a campaign against Crusaders who had controlled Jerusalem, and then after on the way he met the Crusade forces and defeated them on July 1187, and then after he conquered the Battle of Arsof in September 1191, this great commander was died in Damascus in 1913, and in this way his dynasty over there, and then Mamluk take over the charge of the Sultanate in 1250. Dear audience, dear spectators, in this slide you would better able to know when, where and with whom this battle took place. This battle took place on 4th of July 1187 between the Crusade states of the Levant and the forces of Ayyub Sultan Saladin, means Salahuddin Ayyubi. It is also the Battle of Horns of Hattin. It is meant to be due to the shapes of the nearby extinct volcano of that name, and then what is meant by the Crusader state of Levant. It is an historical geographical term referring to a large area in the East Mediterranean region of Western Asia. Dear audience, dear spectators, dear onlookers, the caption over the screen, Islamic Golden Age. What is meant by Islamic Golden Age? It is meant to be a period of scientific, economic and cultural flourishing in the history of Islam, traditionally dated from the 8th century to the 13th century, and this period is supposed to be started from Abbasid Caliph Harun Rashid, and his era starts from 786 to 809, and there was a house of wisdom, was also known as the Grand Library of Baghdad. Dear audience, dear spectators, dear onlookers, this slide is about a great Greek philosopher named Aristotle. He was born on 384 BC at Kelasis, Ebobia, an island of Greece, and he was died on 7th of March 322. He was one of the most important philosophers in the history of Western civilization. Dear audience, dear spectators, this slide is about a great Greek philosopher named Socrates. He was born in c. 470 BC at Damapesia, Athens, Greece, and he was died in 399 BC in Athens by forced suicide of poisoning. He was the founder of Western philosophy, and he was considered a first moral philosopher. His teaching method wasn't conveying knowledge, but rather raising queries until his disciples arrived at their own understanding. Dear audience, dear onlooker, this slide is about Socrates' philosophy. He was very much concerned with the quality of his soul and that of others. His philosophy examines how we should live. He was a moral philosopher. He had no interest neither in science nor mathematics, and this is how it led him to provide a broader platform of discussion on varied topics, things like wisdom, justice, courage, piety, and much more. Dear audience, dear spectator, here in this slide we will better able to know how Socrates was convicted of impiety. He was charged with the two blames. First of all, impiety against Athens gods by introducing new gods, and the second one was the corruption of Athens youth. Hence he died willingly by drinking poisonous hemlock in 399 BC, and below are his three major principles on your slide screen. Dear audience, dear spectators, your slide screen is about Cordova Library, which was built by the Umayyad Caliph Al-Hakam at the end of 10th century, and it is said that there were more than 4 lakh titles over there. And here below are the libraries of the Muslim rulers. First of all, Abbasid library called House of Wisdom in Baghdad, and the second one was library of Fatimid Caliph in Cairo, and the third one library of Spanish in Umayyad Caliph in Cordoba. Dear audience, dear spectator, and now let's talk about the glorious past of the Muslim and embarrassing present. Why so? And the title is about the scientists of the Muslims. They were all Persians and Turkish all together, and they were hundreds of years ahead of their counterparts in the European Middle Ages. Spectators, good audience, it's slide about Ibn Sina, a great scientist. He was born in 980 AD in the village of Abshana near Bukhara in Central Asia. His father's name was Abdullah, who belonged to a city of Balkh. There he was serving as a local governor for a village near Bukhara. Ibn Sina was died on 22nd of June 1037. And here there are some of Ibn Sina books. Dear audience, dear spectators, now there comes the slide of Muslim scientist, scholar, mathematician, astronomer named Al-Battani, who was born in Haran called Christia in earlier times by the Romans, which lies on the Balkh river 38 kilometers southeast of Arfa, modern Turkish city. He was a mathematician, scientist and astronomer who improved existing value for the length of the year and of the seasons.